Sai Satcharitha, English, Chapter 6. Ramanavami Festival and Masjid Repairs. Efficacy of the touch of Guru's hand, Ramanavami Festival, its origin, transformation, etc., repairs to the masjid. Before describing Ramanavami Festival and masjid repairs, the author makes some preliminary remarks about Sadguru as follows. Efficacy of the touch of Guru's hand. Where real or Sadguru is the helmsman, he is sure to carry us safely and easily beyond the worldly ocean. The word Sadguru brings to mind Sai Baba. He appears to me as if standing before me and applying Udi, that is sacred ashes, to my forehead and placing his head and blessing on my head. Then joy fills my heart and love overflows through my eyes. Wonderful is the power of the touch of Guru's hand. This subtle body consisting of thoughts and desires which cannot be burnt by the worldly dissolving fire is destroyed by the mere touch of the Guru's hand, and the sins of many past births are cleaned and washed away. Even the speech of those whose heads feel annoyed when they hear religious and godly talks attains calmness. The seeing of Sai Baba's handsome form chokes our throat with joy, makes the eyes overflowing with tears, and overwhelms the heart with emotions. It awakens in us, I am He, that is the Brahman consciousness, manifests the joy of self realization and dissolving of distinction of Thou, and I then and there makes us one with the Supreme One reality. When I begin to read scriptures, and at every step I am reminded of my Sadguru, and Sai Baba assumes the form of Rama or Krishna and makes me listen to his life. For instance, when I sit to listen Bhagavat, Sai becomes Krishna from top to toe, and I think he sings the Bhagavat or Uddhava Gita, that is song of teachings by Lord Sri Krishna to his disciple Uddhava for the welfare of the devotees. When I begin to chit chat, I am at once put into the mind of Sai stories for enabling me to give suitable illustrations. When I myself start to write anything, I cannot compose a few words or sentences, but when he of his own accord makes me to write, I go on writing, and there is no end to it. When the disciple's egoism props up, he presses it down with his hand and giving him his own power makes him gain his object and thus satisfies and blesses him. If anyone prostrates before Sai and surrenders heart and soul to him, then unsolicited all the chief objects of life, that is via dharma, which is righteousness, artha, which is wealth, kama, desire, the moksha, deliverance, are easily unsolicitedly attained. Four paths, that is karma, jnana, yoga and bhakti leads us separately to God. Of these, the path of bhakti is thorny and full of pits and dishes, and thus difficult to traverse. But if you, relying on your Sadguru, avoids the pits and thorns and walks straight, it will take you to the destination, that is God. So says definitely Sai Baba. After philosophing about self-extant Brahman, his power, that is Maya, to create this world and the world created, and stating that all these three are ultimately one and the same, the author quotes Sai Baba's words guaranteeing the welfare of the Bhaktas. There will never be any dearth or scarcity regarding food and clothes in any devotee's homes. It is my special characteristics that I always look into and provide for the welfare of those devotees who worship me wholeheartedly with their minds ever fixed on me. Lord Krishna has also said the same on the Gita. Therefore, strive not much for food and clothes. If you want anything, beg of the Lord, leave worldly honors, try to get Lord's grace and blessings, and be honored in His court. Do not be deluded by worldly honor. The form of deity should be firmly fixed in mind. Let all the senses and mind be ever devoted to the worship of the Lord. Let there be no attraction for any other thing. Fix the mind in remembering me always, so that it will not wander elsewhere towards body, wealth, and home. Then it will be calm, peaceful, and carefree. This is the sign of the mind being well engaged in good company. If the mind is vagrant, it cannot be called well merged. After quoting these words, the author goes on to relate the story of Ramanavami festival in Shirdi. As Ram Navami is the greatest festival celebrated at Shirdi, another fuller account, as published in Sai Leela magazine of 1925, page 197, is also referred to, and a summary of the festival as related in both these accounts is attempted here. Let's go into the origin. One, Mr. Gopal Rao Gund was a circle inspector at Kopargaon. He was a great devotee of Baba. He had 3 wives but had no issue. With Sai Baba's blessing, a son was born to him. In the joy that he felt regarding the event, an idea of celebrating a fair of Urus occurred to him in the year 1897, and he placed it for consideration before other Shirdi devotees, that is via Tatya Patil, Dada Kote Patil, and Madhavrao Deshpande, who is called as Shama. They all approved of the idea and got Sai Baba's permission and blessings. Then an application for getting the councillor's sanction for celebrating the Urus were made. But as the village Kulkarni reported against the holding fair, the sanction was refused. But as Sai Baba had blessed it, they tried again and ultimately succeeded in getting the collector's sanction. The day of the Urus was fixed on the Ramanavami day, and after having consultation with Baba, it seems he had some end in view, that is, the unification of the two fairs of festivals, the Urus and the Ramanavami, and the unification of the two communities, the Hindu and the Mohammedans. As future events showed, this end or object was achieved. Though the permission was obtained, but other difficulties cropped up. Shirdi was a village and there was scarcity of water. There were 2 wells in the village. The one in use dried up soon, and the water from the second was brackish. This brackish water was turned into sweet one by Sai Baba by throwing flowers into it. The water of this well was insufficient, so Tatya Patil had to arrange to get water from a well by fixing moats, that is leather sacks, thereon at a considerable distance. Then temporary shop had to be constructed and wrestling bouts arranged. Gopal Rao Gund had a friend named Damu Anna Kasar of Ahmednagar. He was also similarly unhappy in the matter of progeny, though he married 2 wives. Sai Baba too blessed him with sons. Mr. Gund prevailed upon his friend to prepare and supply one simple flag for the procession of the fair. He also succeeded in including Mr. Nana Sahib Nimonkar to supply another embroidered flag. Both these flags were taken in procession through the village and finally fixed at the 2 ends of corners of Masjid, which is called Sai Baba at Dwaraka Mai. This is being done even now. Let's go into the sandal procession. There was another procession which was started in this fair. This idea of sandal procession originated with one Mr. Amir Sakkar Dalal, a Mohammedan Bhakta from Korla. This procession is held in honor of great Muslim saints. Sandal, that is chandan paste, and scrapings are put in the thali, flat dishes, and these are carried with incense burning before them in procession to the accompaniment of band and music through the village, and then after returning to the masjid, the contents of the dishes are thrown on the nimbar, that is nichi, and walls of the masjid. With hands, this work was managed by Mr. Amir Shakkar for the first 3 years, then afterward by his wife. So on one day, the 2 processions, the flags by the Hindus and the sandal by the Muslims, went on side by side and are still going on without any hitch. The arrangement. This day was very dear and sacred to the devotees of Sai Baba. Most of them turned out to the occasion and took a leading part in management of the fair. Tatya Kote Patil looked to all outward affairs, while the internal management was entirely left to one Radhakrishna Mai, a female devotee of Baba. Her residence was full of guests on the occasion, and she had to look to their needs and also arrange for the paraphernalia of the fair. Another work which she willingly did was also to wash out and clean and whitewash the entire masjid, its walls and floor, which were blackened and were full of soot on the account of ever burning dhuni, that is sacred fire of Sai Baba. This work she did during night when Sai Baba went to sleep every alternate day in the Chavadi. She had to take out all the things, including even the dhuni, and after thorough cleaning and whitewashing, replace them as they were before. Feeding the poor, which was also dear to Sai Baba and also a great item in this fair. For this purpose, cooking on a grand scale and preparing various sweet dishes was done in Radhakrishna Mai's lodging, and various rich and wealthy devotees took a leading part in this affair. The next story. Transformation of Urus into Ramanavami festival. Things were going on in its way and the fair was gradually increasing in importance till 1912 AD. Excuse, when a change took place. That one devotee, Mr. Krishna Rao Jakeshwar Bhishma, that is the author of the pamphlet Sai Sagunopasana, came in for the fair with Dada Sahib Kaparde of Amarauti and was staying on the previous day in the Dikshit Vada, where he was lying on the veranda, and Mr. Lakshman Rao, alias Kaka Mahajani, was going down with puja materials to the masjid. A new thought aroused in his mind, and he accosted the latter thus: there is some providential arrangement in the fact that the Urus of or fair is celebrated in Shirdi on now Ramanavami day. This day is very dear to all Hindus. Then why not begin the Ramanavami festival, the celebration of birth of Sri Rama, here on this day? Kaka Mahajani liked the idea and it was arranged to get Baba's permission in this matter. The main difficulty was how to secure a Haridas who would perform kirtan on the Sai glories of the Lord on the occasion. But Bhishma solved the difficulty by saying his Rama Akhyan, this composition on Rama's birth, was ready and would do the kirtan himself while Kakaja Mahajani should play the harmonium. It was also arranged to get Suntavada, that is ginger powder mixed with sugar, as prasad prepared by Radhakrishna Mai. So they immediately went to the masjid to get Baba's permission. Baba, who knew all things and was passing there, asked Mahajani as to what was going in the Vada. Being rather perturbed, Mahajani could not catch the purport of the question and remained silent. Then Baba asked Bhishma what he had to say. He explained the idea of celebrating Ramanavami festival and asked Baba's permission to. Baba gladly gave it. All rejoiced and made preparations for the Jayanti festival. The next day, masjid was decorated with buntings, etc. A cradle was supplied by Radhakrishna Mai and placed in front of Sai Baba's seat, and proceedings started. Bhishma stood up for Kirtan and Mahajani played on the harmonium. Sai Baba sent a man to call Mahajani. He was hesitating to go, doubting whether Baba would allow the festival to go on. But when he went to Baba, the latter asked him to what was going on and why the cradle was placed there. He answered that the Ramanavami festival had commenced and the cradle was put on for that purpose. Then Baba took a garland from Nimbar, that is Nishi, and placed it around his neck and sent another garland for Bhishma. Then commenced the kirtan. When it came to a close, pound sounds of victory of Rama went up and gulal, that is red powder, was thrown up all around amidst band and music. Everybody was overjoyed when suddenly roaring was heard. The red powder thrown promiscuously all around went up somehow entered Baba's eyes. Baba got wild and began to scold and abuse loudly. People got frightened by the scene and took to their heels. Those intimate devotees who knew Baba well took these scoldings and outpourings of Baba as blessing in discourse. They thought when the Rama was born, it was proper for Baba to get wild and encouraged to kill Ravana and his demons in full form of egoism and wicked thoughts, etc. Besides, they knew that whenever a new thing was undertaken at Shirdi, it was unusual with Baba to get wild and angry, so they kept quiet. Radhakrishna Mai was rather afraid and thought that Baba might break her cradle, and she asked Mahajani to get the cradle back. Baba went on him and asked him not to remove it. Then after some time, Baba came calm, and at the day's program, including Mahapuja and Arati, was finished. Later on, Mr. Mahajani asked Baba for permission to remove the cradle. Baba refused to do the same, saying that the festival was not yet finalized. The next day, another Kirtan and Gopal Kala ceremony, that is an earthen pot containing parched rice mixed with curds and hung, and only be broken after the Kirtan and other contents distributed to all, was done by Lord Krishna amongst his cowherd friends, were performed, and then Baba allowed the cradle to be removed. While the Ramanavami festival was thus going on, the procession of the two flags day by day, and that was the sandal by night, off with the unusual pomp and show. From this time onwards, the Urus of Baba was transformed into the Ramanavami festival. From the next day, that is 1913, the items in the program of Ramanavami began to increase. Radhakrishna Mai started a Nama Sapta, that is singing the glory of God's name continuously day and night for 7 days. From first day of Chaitra, For this, devotees took part in turns and she could also join it. Sometimes early in the morning, sometimes Ramanavami festival is celebrated in many places all over the country. The difficulty of getting the Haridas was felt again. But 5-6 days before the festival, Mahachani met with an accident. Mahachani met accidentally Balabhua Mali, who was also known as modern Tukaram, and got him to the Kirtan that year. The next year, 1914, another Balabhua Satarkar of Brihadishida Kavate district Satara could not act like Haridas in his own town as plague was prevailing in his town, and also he came to Shirdi with Baba's grace permission, which was secured through Kaka Sahib Dikshit. He did the Kirtan and was sufficiently recompensed of his labor. The difficulty of getting new Haridas every year was finally solved from 1914 by Sai Baba. He entrusted his function to Das Ganu Maharaj permanently, and since the time he had been successfully and credibly conducting that function up till now. Since 1912, the festival began to grow gradually year by year. From 8th to 12th of the Chaitras, Shirdi looked like a beehive of men. Shops began to increase. Celebrated wrestlers took part in wrestling boards. Feeding of the poor was done on a grander scale. Hard work and sincere efforts of Radhakshana Mai turned Shirdi into a sansthan, that is state. Paraphernalia increased. A beautiful horse, a palanquin, chariot, and many silver things, pots, buckets, pictures, mirrors, etc. were presented. Elephants were also sent to the procession. Though all the paraphernalia increased enormously, Sai Baba ignored all these things and mainly his simplicity as before. It is to be noted that both the Hindus and Mohammedans have been working in unison in both processions, and during the entire festival there had been no hitches or quarrel between them at all so far. First, about 5,000 to 7,000 people used to collect, but what figure went up to 7.5 in some years, and there was no outbreak of epidemic or rats worth the name during so many past years. Praise to the masjid. Another important idea occurred to Gopal Gund. Started to the Urus to fair, he also thought that he should put masjid in order. In order to carry out the repairs, he collected stones and got them dressed. But this work was not assigned to him. This was reserved for Nana Sahib Chandorkar and the pavement work for Kaka Sahib Dikshit. First, Baba was unwilling to allow them to have these works done. But with the intervention of Mahasalpati, a local devotee of Baba, his permission was secured. Then when the pavement was accompanied in one night in the masjid, Baba took a small gadi for his seat, discarding the usual piece of sack cloth used till then. In 1911, the Sabha Mandap, that is a courtyard, was also put in order with great labor and effort. The open space in front of the masjid was very small and inconvenient. The Kaka Sahib Dikshit wanted to extend and put one roofing. At great expense, he got iron posts and pillars of trusses and then started to work. At night, all the devotees worked hard and fixed the posts. But Baba, when he returned from Chavadi next morning, uprooted them all and threw them out. Once it so happened that Baba got very excited, caught a pole with one hand and began to shake and uproot it, and with joy cutting other hand caught the neck of Tata Patil. He took by force Tata Patil's peta, that is struck a match, set it on fire and threw it in a pit. At that time Baba's eyes flashed like burning embers. No one dared to look at him. All terribly got frightened. Baba took out a 1 rupee from his pocket and threw it as if it was an offering to auspicious occasion. Tatya also was much frightened. No one knew that Baba is going to happen to Tatya, and none dared to interfere. Bagoji Shinde, the leper devotee of Baba, made a little boldly advance, but he was pushed out by Baba. Madhavrao was also similarly treated, he being pelted with bricks pieces. So all those who went to intercede were simply dealt with. But after some time, Baba's anger cooled down. He sent for a shopkeeper, got him from embroidery peta, and himself tied it on Tatya's head as if he was being given special honor. All the people were wonderstruck to see the strange behavior of Baba. They were at a loss to know when Baba engaged so suddenly and what led him to assault Tatya Patil and why his anger cooled down. The next moment, Baba was sometimes very calm and quiet and then texted sweet things with love, but soon after, with or without pretext, or got enraged. Many such incidents might be related, but I do not know which one to choose, which one to omit. I therefore refer to them as they occur to me. In the next chapter, the question whether Baba was a Hindu or Mohammedan will be taken up, and his yogic practices and powers and other matters is to be dealt with. Om Shri Sai. Bow to Shri Sai. Peace be to all. Om Shri Sai Ram.